Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Jamie Sechrist. I'm the Fund Development and Marketing Director for the Palapa Society of Todos Santos AC. I'm presenting this call to you today from Todos Santos, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. You've each been invited to this call because you're our friends and supporters, and we want to take a few minutes to catch you up on what's happening at the Palapa Society. Everything you hear today is possible because of your continued support and generosity. These calls are sponsored by Satterfield and Phillips Financial Group, and we would like to thank them for their generosity as well. And just to be clear, this presentation is no way intended to be a solicitation for donations. It's purely informational. As you're aware, we've been a nonprofit organization geared towards community programs for over 17 years. In 2017, we added a middle school, and each subsequent year after, we've added an additional grade level until we complete the high school. During the past 4 years, it's been exciting and has placed our organization on a path of growth and constant evolution. We hope this presentation helps you today to understand where we are in this process and how we are tackling the challenges of COVID-19. With that, let's begin. We'll start with a brief introduction where each of you will tell us your name, how you're connected to the Palapa Society, and where you're tuning in from. I'll call on each one of you for your information. Please note that the presenters will not be introduced at this time. They'll be introduced as we go through the presentation. Also, after the introduction is complete, we will put everybody on mute to ensure everyone else can hear the presentation. So with that, I would like to start with Catherine Williams.
My name is Catherine Williams, obviously. I am calling in from Todos Santos. My connection to the Palapa Society is as a supporter. I think it is remarkable what has been accomplished in a relatively short amount of time. And it's a wonderful opportunity for the children of Todos Santos.
Thank you, Catherine. And Chris and Bill Durborough.
Chris and Bill.
I'm Bill, yes.
We live in Todos Santos. We've been here almost 8 years and began working with and giving to as a supporting fashion the Palapa Society from the first time, almost the first that we were here. And it's been amazing and wonderful to see the progress that has transpired just in the last few years. Good on you.
Okay,
I think we're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. And Margaret Lawson, you're next.
That's me. I'm here in Todos Santos also, full-time here, and just a longtime supporter since I first came on vacation and volunteered as an English mentor with Serena and was so impressed with everything Palapa was doing. Of course, we didn't have the school at that point, and then organized my fellow scientists to help send donations to help build out the science lab.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Such an important piece for our Palapa. We are really grateful for you and your friends for supporting that effort. Next, we'll go with Pamela and Guillermo Bejarano.
You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, you're muted, yeah.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want you to know it says host disabled attendee screening sharing. So that's the only message that I've gotten. So it's not important. I see them all as they come on. But we've been here 11 years, but we're very recent to the Palapa Society. I've had other things that I've donated to in Todos Santos, but when the pandemic hit, I shared the wealth between the United States and Todos Santos, and the Palapa Society was one of the places that we decided to share.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
And just to note, Guillermo Bill is also, he was on the Open Studio Tour for the first time last February. He's known for Chicano arts and a really talented artist. Thank you so much for being here. Next, the Miss Serena Saltzman.
Hi, I'm here in Todos Santos. and I'm part of the education committee at the school.
Thank you, Serena. Welcome. And Susan, and I'm not sure if Jim is with you. It looks like it's just.
No, he's not on the call, but we support the Palapa Society. We're great friends with Tori and Oscar. Tori and Oscar have a Portuguese water dog, and so do we. So we are connected by our doggies, and she was the one that introduced us. We live in Elias Calles. We've been here for over 20 years, and we're here full time, and I'm still working full time online.
Wow, thank you. And now I'm going to introduce board member Scott Bosch. Oh, Scott, you're muted.
Sorry, I muted you again.
Sorry, technical difficulty for a moment. There you go.
Okay, how's that? Am I on? Okay. Hi, I'm Scott Bosch. For the last year, I have been on the board of the Palapa Society. We live here, my wife Gail and I live here from November through May, and then up in Lakewood, Colorado, outside of Denver in the summertime. And we have been supporters of the society kind of since we came down 3.5 years ago. And we just think that what the Palapa Society is doing, not just in education, but throughout the community, is something we need to get behind. So I'm very proud to be on the board and looking forward to working with the rest of the board to really change the landscape down here. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And that concludes our introductions for now. Thank you each for introducing yourselves and giving us a moment to get to know you better. It helps us as a board and an organization to know a little bit more about you. With that, I would like to present the Assistant to Fund Development and Marketing, Jimena Garcia.
Hola a todos, I'm Jimena. I'm the assistant of the Fund of Development and Marketing. It's a little tough name to say. Okay. So if you would like an optimal view of your Zoom, we think it's a little better if you put like the speaker view, so that way you only see the person who's speaking. And I think that works better for the presentation. So we have someone.
It's Margot Hampelman.
Okay.
Margot Hampelman has just joined us since we were at the beginning. We'd like to give her a moment to introduce herself. Hi, Margot. Welcome to the call.
Hi.
Glad you could make it today. We just did quick little short introductions about who we are, our name, where we're tuning in from, and how we're connected to the Palapa Society.
Okay.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Oh, yeah, sure. Margot Hampelman. And I am here today because I'm a good friend with Cindy and David and want to support their effort with this amazing school.
Thank you so much, Margot. Okay, with that, we'll get.
We forgot Blair.
Oh, Blair, I'm so sorry, Blair.
Let's see.
Hi, Blair.
Hi, I'm Blair Jenkins, and longtime friends of the Higgins. I went to school with Cindy, and it's been wonderful to watch the progress with the school. I've worked in schools for many years, so it's wonderful to see the work down there. And I wish I were there. I'm in Bend, Oregon.
Is it starting to get cold up there?
Yes, I think I'm the only one with a turtleneck on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can send some warm weather your way. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. I'm going to give it back to Jimena.
Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to mute you all. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to have a Q&A where you can give us your comments, feedback, or any question that you have. So now we're going to start with Laurel D'Angelo. Hi, Laurel.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to see everyone's faces. Oh, boy. Okay, I'm Laurel D'Angelo. I am a full-time resident here in Todos Santos and a very proud board member, and currently in the role of secretary. Before we get started, we wanted to give you sort of a 10,000-foot view of how we're organized, our organizational structure. This will help give you some context to the updates that we'll be presenting to you today. First, let's start with our board of directors. We have 10 volunteers on our board. Our core officers include Eric Ochoa, he's our president. He's also the founder, the original founder of the after school art program, oh gosh, at least 15 years ago. We have local business owner, Vice President Sharon Morris of the Serendipity Hotel. She also donates her pool for our swim program. And we also have Hal Butler as our treasurer. We'll be introducing other key members of our board as we present today. We have the advisory board. Technically, we're just kind of formalizing this committee. The advisory is really made up of former board members, individuals in our community. These are the folks that we call on to tap into their knowledge or experience or expertise, be it in financial planning or legal input, or it could be curriculum. You name it, there's just wonderful people in our community that we always appreciate their input. So if you haven't been formally invited to this advisory board, expect your invitation soon. We have a vigilance committee. This is actually a legal requirement, and the two folks who head up this committee are our legal counsel and our accountant. They ensure that we remain legally compliant to maintain our nonprofit status. We have our finance committee, again, that's headed up by Hal Butler, but also with Pam Booman. She'll be presenting our financial status in today's presentation. In education, we have the Palapa School Committee focused on everything related to our school. We have our community programs, including the Biblioteca Elena Poniatowska, our Puente Bridge to English program, our after-school art program, and more. The Becca Scholarship Program, that's one of our longest running programs. This focuses on helping to fund tuition, full and partial tuition for public high school and university. And finally, we have a focus on fund development and marketing with our director, Jamie Sechrist, and her assistant, Jimena Garcia. And various members of the board contribute on this team as well, where we focus on donor relations, events like our 5K, our Artist Open Studio Tour, our Historical Home Tour, and fundraisers like the calendar. Okay, so now that you have that perspective, I'd like to hand the baton over to Artis Farrow. She is our education advisor.
Okay, oops. All right, hi, can we all hear me? Yes? That's good. Okay, I'd like the nodding head. Thanks, Laurel. So hi, I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Artis Farrow. I'm a full-time Todos Santos resident, yay. I am a board member. I hold the position of the Educational Advisory Chair, and I am also the co-creator, along with the incredible Jana Schweitzer, of the Student Leadership Club. And what I'm going to do today, my job, which is a great one, is to just give you a little insight into the many programs that Palapa has been running for several years and kind of the current status. And as I prepared for this, I realized that whether it's staff or volunteers or people in positions of responsibility, everybody, that my experience is everybody goes that extra mile to have the greatest impact on this community that we can. I'm going to start by telling you just a little bit of updates on the Becca program, which Laurel just mentioned. So the Becca program is that financial support through scholarships for university and college students, and also for high school students. These are students who are committed to their education but would not be able to finish school without some financial support. And we have currently at the university and college level, there's 20 students, and there's going to be 9 graduates this year, very exciting. And there are 21 high school students currently receiving scholarships. And again, what's so wonderful about this is that we looked at the programs and you know, people think that there's probably been 1,000 scholarships distributed since 2003 when this program started. We think that when students graduate, about 90% of the graduate students actually get to go ahead and create a career in their discipline of choice. And so we're so thrilled about the success of this program. You're looking on your screen at Guadalupe's little thank you note to the Palapa Society, always getting thank you notes and always getting students coming back to volunteer and support the organization. So I'm going to just take a moment and read this. And she says, thanks to the Palapa Society, there are a large number of young people who have finished their studies and fulfilled some of our dreams. And I think, again, that's the most emotional thing, is that they're really following their dreams. And she says, on this occasion, I offer my own thanks as I'm going to interpret closure and protest, as I completed a graduate degree in primary education this year. So again, just there's dozens and dozens of these students who are, you know, have a new life because of the support of Palapa. So let's look at some other programs. One that everybody knows about is, of course, the community library. It is, if you don't know, it's the biggest bilingual library in all of Baja Sur with over 9,000 books, which is a lot. And the beautiful facility now is just amazing. It has been closed because of COVID, but again, because of the determination and creativity of Donna and the library volunteer staff, they have come up with a protocol that's been approved, and we're going to be able to reopen the library on December 7th on a limited basis. So lots of safety and health precautions, limited number of hours, people in the library, etc. But really excited to reopen that program on December 7th. And again, when you think of going that extra mile, last year, the library team is so committed to inspiring readership in the community of Todos Santos that they built a series of very small little libraries. They're like oversized birdhouses, really. They're adorable. And they're packed full of Spanish and English books. They're at key locations in Todos Santos, so anyone can just come, borrow a book, read it, bring it back, and take another one. And again, all inside of their commitment to really inspire reading through the community. The children's library is another way. It's closed right now, but so amazing. And if you haven't visited the Saturday story hour, it's quite phenomenal. They read a story, all the kids discuss the story, and then they have a very focused and organized and brilliant art project that's related to the story. So every kid takes home a little souvenir that's meaningful and memorable to them and reminds them of the book that they read. One of my favorite campaigns that Joy, the head of the library, did last year, they read a book about shoes. I think it was ballet shoes, can't remember. And she decided to do a shoe drive and put the word out that people could donate new pairs of shoes for children. She was hoping to get a few dozen, and there was a landslide, and she got tons and tons of shoes. But the great thing was that before the holiday season, the little kids in the library were able to participate in that activity of distributing the shoes to kids that are less fortunate. So again, we're building that culture of generosity and stewardship. And at the children's library level, there's over 350 kids locally who have library cards. So exciting. English for Adults, that program is not meeting in the classroom right now, but they are continuing to meet on Zoom. And I think there's probably over 75 adult students in that class. The Puente Bridge to English program for kids has over 150 students. Unable to meet right now, but kids are eager to get back into that program once we can bring them together on the campus. The art program, brilliant, also on hold, and as well as the amazing swimming program, which we really love as well. So, so that's kind of it on the programs. I wanted to just say a little bit more about what Palapa does, again, that extra mile and their commitment to the community. We knew that there was going to be financial hardships because of the pandemic and the loss of work and income for families. So the board voted to suspend or forgive tuition until the end of 2020 to ensure that none of the kids were going to risk their education because of economics. Also, the community was in need, obviously, and Palapa donated resources and money and helped form Todos Unidos along with Padrino and ACTS, and that program provides food and supplies to families in need. We donated a month of Jamie's time to help raise money, and Laurel, our brilliant secretary and board member, has spent the last many months at about 120% working together with those organizations to make that a big success for families in the community. So, couldn't be prouder. Now I'm going to introduce actually Jana Schweitzer, who has the privilege and the responsibility of managing all the programs I've just talked about, as well as the Palapa School. And Jana is technically our Palapa Society Program Executive Director, and she's brilliant. So Jana, I'm sorry if I said Jamie, it's Jana Schweitzer.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see faces with names. We hear your name mentioned a lot, and now it's nice to meet you all. My name is Jana Schweitzer. I have worked for the Palapa Society for about over 8 years. I started out as an intern working with Serena Saltzman, and now I oversee all of the programs and work very closely with the teachers and the director of our school. I am a co-creator of the leadership program with artists. And I'm currently overseeing the second floor construction. So I'm going to give a little background of our middle school and our high school. In 2017, we opened with 7th and 8th grade at our middle school, the Palapa School Secundaria. And then in 2019, we received our SEP certification for our high school, our preparatoria. And SEP is the Secretaría de Educación Pública. They are the Department of Education of Mexico. And so we are an official certified school, which allows our students to be able to apply for universities and colleges and go to other schools if need be. And so we had to have a quick response to COVID in March when we ended up having to close our school. And our teachers and our director, we have 9 teachers and a director, and our director also teaches Spanish. They quickly banded together and decided we don't really have time to assess technology needs yet, so let's just create these study guides. And so the teachers and the director created these packets of work that covered a majority of the curriculum. So math, biology, all the sciences, history, Spanish, geography, and they were pretty impressive study guides that we were able to share with the public schools. So we actually ended up exchanging study guides with the public middle school and the public high school to ensure that their students could also continue their education. So during the summer break, the teachers and the Palapa School Committee worked endlessly to create solutions for how are we going to do this year, the 2020-2021 school year. And we are now using Zoom. We are using Google Classroom, and we have some other applications that the teachers have started to implement, some focused on math, and mostly math and physics. And because of the wonderful summer campaign, we are now able to say that all of our students have laptops or tablets in their homes to ensure that they can watch the Zoom sessions, they can ask their teachers questions. And because of your generous donations, we're able to say that we have communication with 100% of our students. And I actually just learned yesterday from my meeting with the director that we are in the green, which is a pretty, he says it's a really exciting thing for SEP, because we are one of the only schools that has 100% communication with all of our students, which is pretty exciting. So COVID has presented some challenges. It's created also some positives, and I want to start with the positives because those are more exciting. It's what I've found is that our teachers have now been able to sort of be more creative, and it's created this space for collaboration. So our English teacher and our art teacher are working together to create an integrated learning experience. So art and English are now taught together. And then our high school is now working for the first time on an interdisciplinary integrated learning project, which is also phenomenal. So our history class, math, Spanish, physics, every English, art, they're all working together to create a interdisciplinary project, which we will be presenting to you all at the end of the school year. But just listening to the conversations is pretty exciting. They're mostly focused on science, what science means to your life, how it's impacted your life. And then the 11th graders are working on is their life outside of Earth. So pretty cool. And then, so some challenges that have incurred is technology and making sure that all our students have internet access and bandwidth, and that has had ups and downs because, as you all know, technology has a mind of its own. And so some days the students are able to fully zero in on the Zoom sessions, and other days the internet comes and goes. The other challenge that we've discovered is computer literacy and technology literacy. A lot of the parents and a lot of the students don't know how to use a computer. We've sort of, I think, globally, we take for granted that we can all just like access a computer, and we all know how to type. And a lot of our students are really struggling with, how do you type? How do you do that? It takes a lot longer than we had anticipated. So we are creating workshops for our students to focus on how to use Google Classroom, how to use Zoom, how to manage Zoom. If something happens, how do you fix it? And then our latest workshop is a time management and self-management workshop. Because students are used to just, they wake up, they eat their breakfast, they go to school, they go to their classes, and then they come home. And now they're really having to learn how to self-manage, and that has presented a lot of issues. So I think we've had our third workshop now on time management, and we're hoping to see some results of creating an organized space, and so we'll see what comes out of that. Our teachers are just, I can't express how impressed I am, how impressed the committee is with our teachers. We have been able to hire some pretty exceptional professionals, and we wouldn't be able to say that we have 100% communication with our students. We wouldn't be able to do any of this if they weren't able to have incredible teamwork skills and collaborate together to teach, and they're working endlessly. I am a part of the teacher WhatsApp, and they are talking to each other at 10 o'clock at night, making sure that tomorrow's plan is able to take effort. So with that being said, I also want to mention that we are working and having conversations around what next year will look like if we continue in this pandemic and SEP requires us to remain in our homes. What can we do? So because of the success of the summer campaign, we will be able to upgrade our internet at the Palapa Society Learning Center. And there's a possibility or a conversation around, could we become a hotspot for our students who have limited access to internet? Can they come to our campus in a socially distanced manner to ensure that they can continue their education? So I also want to share an example student. She's an example of the kind of kid that we are working with at the Palapa Society. Her name is Sunduri. She's an 11th grader, and she started with us when she was in 8th grade. She's fully bilingual, and she actually has now made several public speeches, both in Spanish and in English. She was chosen to be the valedictorian of her graduating class at the middle school level. And she's an inquisitive, curious, super social leader of our little school. And she volunteered to be a part of the pilot program that I and Claudia Millan at the Padrino Foundation are working to create. It's called it's sort of a big brother, big sister program. And Sunduri, when we asked the students who would like to participate, she just immediately was like, oh, I want to do that. And she worked really closely with her little sister, and it was just, many of our students are similar to her, but I just wanted to mention her because she's also in our leadership club, and we adore her. And some of you may have met her or seen her at the John Paul Jones event or at the donor appreciation dinner we had last year where she spoke. So I hope that you one day get to meet her and get to meet our other students and our teachers, because they're pretty amazing. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce David and Cindy Higgins, the Palapa Society Learning Center founders, and they have made all of this possible, and they dreamed up the school that we have now been able to make a reality. So thank you, Cindy and David, and take it away.
Well, hi, Jana. Thanks for that nice introduction. Undeserved, but nice. I'm Dave Higgins, a donor to the Palapa Society and one of the founders of the Palapa Learning Center. And I'd like to tell you about the development of a little more actually about the development of the Palapa Learning Center and Cindy's and my involvement in it. We live in Evergreen, Colorado, but spend quite a bit of time down here in Todos, Santos, which is where we are now. After living here in Todos Santos on and off for several years, it became clear to us that the town would benefit from a high quality alternative to the existing middle and secondary schools, grades 7 through 12. So we ended up approaching the Palapa Society about this, and Cindy will tell you more about that piece of it. And but Serena was involved. I think she's on this call, and we really appreciate her help in that area. Our idea was a school, but the whole thing kind of morphed into something a lot more. We ended up with a concept of a learning center, which was going to be one location for the administration of all of the programs that Artis and Jana have been talking about. We committed to be responsible for the costs of construction of this learning center, the Palapa Learning Center. The concept of this approach being to free the Palapa Society from that financial burden. The construction of the original campus was completed in 2017. The campus consists of a school building, a library building, the Puente building, which includes classrooms for the Bridge to English programs and a children's library, a cafeteria, locker rooms, and separate office and storage space. As modern a learning facility as you will find anywhere in the Baja Peninsula. The Learning Center has been a great success, so much so that we are now in the middle of the construction of a second floor on the classroom building in order to better accommodate all of our students. That kind of summarizes really our business plan, sort of like the business plan in Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. And they have, to the great pride and satisfaction of all of us involved in the Palapa Society. I'll be back in a minute to narrate a short video of the Palapa Learning Center construction. But for now, let me pass this on to Cindy, and I'm just going to push the computer over here. I hope this works.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Higgins. I am one of the founders of PLC, Palapa Learning Center, and I am on the board, and I am chairman of the fundraising committee, and I'm also on the education committee. Right now, let's look at what's on the screen, which is our values. We fine-tuned them this year and really wanted to have them incorporate what we really value. So as you can see, inspired learning, spirit of generosity, and stewardship. And you can read the details as I'm talking. On the last one, stewardship, the very last one, that's a favorite of mine because one thing we noticed is that in Mexico, there isn't really a culture of philanthropy. And it's just not common here. So at the school, we want to introduce that concept to our students. Most of them are benefactors of philanthropy because most of them are on scholarships. So we're really hoping this new generation will incorporate this concept into their lives and share it with their families. Artis mentioned this being accomplished with our children's learning, our library, and that program where, for example, on that Saturday program where they were able to accumulate shoes and then have the pleasure of giving them away to people less fortunate than themselves. So our goal is to instill all these values in every aspect of the Palapa Society. I want to step back a minute to 2014. Some of you may know the story. Some of you heard it right from the beginning who are on this call. But in 2014, we went to Guatemala. We witnessed a school there for Mayan girls. And literally one of those light bulb moments occurred. Wow, what would it be like if we could do this in Todos Santos? And so then we came back and talked to people. Serena was one of the first. We realized we probably need to do this, partner with somebody, because this would be very hard to accomplish ourselves. So at that point, we had been in Todos Santos for maybe 8 years, and we had, of course, heard of the Palapa Society. We knew it was highly respected. We knew it provided lots of services to the community. We had just witnessed how they had handled the Hurricane Odile and really helping the community get back on its feet. And then most importantly, I noticed they had an education component. They were teaching English to children and adults, and they also had a small library. At the time we got involved, this was housed in a house in a barrio, a little neighborhood. And Peter Buck, maybe some of you know from our EM fame, who lives here part-time, donated that house. And now that we have moved on, actually our director still lives there. So, but most of all, the Palapa Society is a society with a huge heart. And I think we were quite clever to join forces with them, because I think people were more convinced and ready to accept us when they knew that the Palapa Society was behind the plan. So now our school's almost complete, and next year we will have populated all 6 grades up through 12th. We will have 120 students, 20 per class. 95% of these are the local community kids. We'll have all the teachers, and we'll have the new addition finished. This is a high achieving school for high achieving students. Our goal is to make them ready for college. Our goal is for them to become bilingual, and of course to be good citizens. So one result of having it all finished next year at this time, we will really get our arms around what it takes to run, operate, and maintain the school. But so the whole journey, as many of you know who know me, has been really exciting, really challenging at times, but very, very rewarding. We have hit some obstacles along the way, but they've all resolved beautifully. And it's my belief that good causes have a way of unfolding and they can't be stopped. So we are really excited about the second floor. And that is one silver lining of not being able to have the kids on the campus, because we can build without the students there. So now you will get to see a little video of what's happening with the second floor.
The Palapa Learning Center was designed by Jack Nottingham, a Taos, New Mexico architect and a part-time resident of Todos, Santos. And many thanks to Jack for his excellent work. The construction was very ably carried out by AF Design and Construction, a local Mexican firm. Gabby Flores of that organization is on our board. And interestingly enough, AF's project manager for the construction, Lydia, was a Palapa Beca recipient several years before. The second floor construction will be completed in January. It will add 4 classrooms, restrooms, and a teacher's lounge, and will separate the high school from the middle school. Most of the structural work has been completed since this video was taken. The design includes interior walls that are suspended by, interior hallways that are suspended by cables. That work needs to be done, and as well as the installation of doors and windows and applying finishes to the interior and exterior walls. We can't wait to fill the building with students once the construction is done.
Okay, so now I'd like to introduce a very important board member who is our financial whiz. Her name is Pam Booman, and she's going to give you a financial update.
Thanks, Cindy. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Pam Booman, and I'm speaking to you from San Diego, where I live the other part of my time when I'm not in Todos Santos. I'm a board member and a member of the finance committee of the Palapa. So I just want to tell you that I'm extremely proud to be a part of this organization of dedicated volunteers. It's an amazing organization. So far, you've had the opportunity to hear the perspectives of the Palapa Learning Center founders, Cindy and Dave. And you've heard from Jana and from artists about the innovative ways that the Palapa Learning Center has adjusted their routine to accommodate the COVID challenges this year. So once again, as always, in 2020, the Palapa Society has done what it always has done, which is step up to meet the needs of the community. So right now, I'm going to give you an overview of our financial situation. The chart that you're looking at is a snapshot of the latest financial status through October of 2020. And I'm going to walk you through that in a minute. But before I do, I want to give you a little perspective of how the Palapa Society has adapted and grown over the past few years. As you heard, the Palapa Learning Center opened its doors in 2017, offering classes to 7th and 8th graders. Each year subsequent to that, the Palapa Learning Center has added an additional class, and in 2020 has grown to include 9th, 10th, and 11th grades. Needless to say, the size of our annual budget has grown commensurately with each additional grade, and we're not done yet. To give you a little perspective, before the Palapa Learning Center, the annual budget of the Palapa Society was less than $100,000 a year. In 2017, the annual budget, that was when the Palapa Learning Center was established, the annual budget was $250,000. And our current fiscal year of 2021 budget, it's $480,000. Next year, when we add the 12th grade in fiscal year 2022, we anticipate that that budget will be in excess of $500,000. So we've come a long way, and I'd like to go back to the current year and walk through the numbers with you. First thing I need to note is that our fiscal year changed this year. We made it so that it mirrored better the school year rather than a calendar year. And so our current fiscal year goes from July 1st of 2020 through June of 2021. In our most recent annual report, which you can see and find on our website, that reflects an 18-month period starting January of 2019 and going through June of 2020. So if you are looking at that, just realize it's an 18-month view. So in this fiscal year, our budgeted revenues and expenses are $480,000, as I mentioned, and that's in the orange box that is on that chart. Our fundraising efforts, which are highlighted in green, are on track. And year to date, we've actually raised $13,000 through October. With year to date, we've raised $138,000 through October, and that's $16,000 ahead of the time phase plan. In the blue, I've highlighted the year to date results, which due to COVID, we've deferred some expenditures, and we are showing a $13,000 favorable surplus year to date when you take the year to date revenues and subtract the year to date expenses. In the pink, you'll see the year to date expenses are $124,000, which is $39,000 lower than our time phase plan. Now, it's too early to tell whether or not those $39,000 will result in actual savings. We'll just have to wait and see, and time will tell. It very much depends on whether or not classes can resume in person again. As our cash position, the Palapa Society has a current cash position of $486,000 in the bank, which is appropriate for long-term sustainability, along with successful fundraising efforts in this fiscal year 2021 and beyond. As a little perspective, it's very prudent for a nonprofit to have at a minimum a year of cash reserves in case of a catastrophic event. So the Palapa Society is well positioned for sustainability, and we're focusing on the right things to continue that way. Our challenge for the remainder of fiscal year 2021 is to continue to implement some strategies to adequately fund the planned activities for the remainder of this year without tapping into our cash reserves. So with that, let me hand it off to our Director of Fund Development and Marketing, Jamie Seacrest, and she's going to review those strategies of fundraising with you. Jamie?
Thank you, Pam, for explaining our financial status year to date. I'm going to take a few brief moments to review the scales that are in front of you. Starting with the scale on your left that is out of balance, the green cubes represent our actual year to date funds raised plus pledges. The copper cubes on the opposite arm of the scale are our expenses year to date. The red at the bottom represents our challenge after pledges that have been received and shows that we need to raise another $260,000 to meet our funding goals. We've had two major shifts that have affected us in this last year. The first one being our founders of the Palapa Learning Center have shifted their focus from the operational expenses to seeing out their vision of building out the campus to complete the high school. The second part is the COVID pandemic has caused some funding challenges in that we're unable to host any fundraising events. There's a huge need to subsidize funding to our families that don't have the ability to pay tuitions. On top of that, all of our traditional programs have been inactive since August. So here's our plan to balance out the scales. This strategy is multifaceted. First, we've been working on creating a matching gift fund of $75,000 for the season of giving. The idea of this is to inspire our other donors to give us a matching of $75,000 so we can raise $150,000 for this fundraising event. We're almost there. We've got, $62,000 raised this far towards the 75K. So we're really excited about that. The next approach will be, we're going to do a springtime fundraiser. The concept and ideas of this are still in the planning stages, and we'll be getting back with you about that. The goal there would be to raise an additional $100,000, and the remaining balance we would raise between our support pool of new donors that have been growing year after year. We started a donor program a few years ago, and our retention was at 28%. Now we're at 59.12% donor retention year after year. So we're really communicating well with our donors and creating a good program to keep them engaged and keep them a part of the Palapa family. No, that's already, sorry. So with that, we've given you a general overview of the financial aspects of the Palapa Society. Take a brief moment to read our new vision statement that we put together in 2020 while we prepare to do our Q&A section.